run down here being followed by all their fans. This is where George Harrison falls over right at the start of the film. And incidentally, it's a complete accident. He'd actually fall over and hurt himself in the process. They decided to keep it in anyway, so does it look quite good. Luckily, George got it right first time. And most of the people running after the Beatles that day were actual Beatles fans. And somehow they found out when they were going to be filming, just came along on the off chance of catching a glimpse of their heroes. A few of the lucky ones were chosen by the director, Richard Lester, to actually be paid as extras to follow the Beatles in A Hard Day's Night itself. There's quite a few of those fans got signed photos each. If they kept them, we're fitting up to £1,500 now. It's not bad payments following your heroes down the street, is it? Well, eventually the Beatles ran round the corner and into the station. We're going there in a few minutes' time. There's another Beatles connection with Boston Place. So in 1968, they had their own company called Apple Corps. Part of Apple was called Apple Electronics. This is run by a friend of the Beatles called Alexis Mardas, who told them he was an inventor. That was probably lying. So the Beatles spent several £1,000s on his inventions, didn't get one penny back. None of them ever made it onto the market. So they closed down his laboratory in Boston Place pretty quickly. They kept hold of the building though. They kept hold of it to use as a storeroom for their film archive of themselves, collecting over the years. Okay, this is a rather grand building here. It belongs to the Westminster City Council, the local authority for the area. It also includes the Marylebone registry office, where civil weddings take place. This is where two of the Beatles got married. The first Beatle to be married here was Paul McCartney. He married Linda here in March 1969. They recently celebrated the 28th wedding anniversary. Not bad going, huh? People said it wouldn't last longer than a year, how long they were. Well, Paul was actually the last Beatle to be married. And outside the office that day were many hundreds of Paul's fans, crying their eyes out. Last chance of gone in marrying a Beatle, or so they thought. In fact, so many people were outside that Paul and Linda had to go in the back way, around all the trash cans, get into their own wedding. As you can see by this picture here, probably the most romantic way of starting your wedding day. When it was announced that Paul was marrying Linda, most of the newspapers today showing that Paul was marrying her for her money. Say all thoughts that Linda is the heiress of the Eastman Kodak photographic family. So of course her maiden name was Eastman, she's a photographer. Unfortunately for the press and maybe for Paul, they got it totally wrong. Because Linda has nothing to do with Eastman Kodak at all. In fact, the original family name, the Eastmans, was Epstein, the same name as the Beatles' manager. That's a complete coincidence as well, nothing to do with that family either. Square, a very small apartment, just covers the basement and ground floor this side. It's where two of the Beatles once lived. The first Beatle to live here was Ringo Starr, moved in early 1965, and the time he married his first wife Maureen. They only stayed here for a short time before they bought a house out in Weybridge. Ringo kept hold of the apartment here so he could come back when the Beatles were playing the late night recording sessions at nearby Abbey Road. Come back here to sleep rather than travelling the 35 miles or so out to Weybridge. When he wasn't using the apartments though, Ringo let various friends use it. One such friend that lived here in 1967 was Jimi Hendrix. Jimmy had just been brought over from America by Chas Chandler, former bass player of the Animals, became Jimmy's manager. And Chas and Jimmy lived in the apartment here for several months in '67. Well, after Jimmy moved out, John and Yoko moved in. They just got together and looking for a big house of their own, but before they found one, Ringo let them use the apartment. They're only here for a short time too, but during that time... Streets, Wimpole Street and nearby Harley Street have several hundred practicing doctors living and working. The Doctor lived in this house in the 1960s, number 57 Wimpole Street. His name was Sir Richard Asher. He was celebrated for his work on mental health and blood disorders. His two children, Peter and Jane, were famous entertainers. Of course, Peter Asher was part of Peter and Gordon, famous duo in the 1960s, who had many hits, many of course Lennon and McCartney songs. The reason they had Lennon and McCartney songs to record was Peter's sister Jane was dating Paul McCartney. Certainly helps keep it in the family, as it were. But of course, Jane Asher is a famous actress. Jane has been acting since about 5 years old. By the time she was 17 and met Paul, already appeared in many films and television shows, certainly a celebrity in her own right. But in the spring of 1963, Jane did a photographic assignment, the Radio Times Listings magazine, the concert at the Royal Albert Hall, where the Beatles topped the bill. She was photographed in the Radio Times, screaming at the Beatles. She met them all backstage, as similarly all four Beatles fancied her, Sullivan show in February 1964. Another very famous Paul McCartney song started out here in the house. It started early one morning in late 1963, when Paul woke up in his bedroom at the top of the house with a tune in his head. He went straight over to the piano to play the tune. Initially, he thought he was remembering it from someone else's song. He thought he'd just remember it from someone else. The next few months went all around all his friends playing this tune to them, to see if anyone could recognise it. But no one could, so Paul finally realised he must have dreamt it in his sleep. Because he didn't think he'd written it though, didn't have any proper words to it for a long time. The original working title was Scrambled Eggs. In fact, the first line went, "Scrambled eggs, baby, how I love your legs." Don't think so, Paul. Well, luckily he rewrote it. He wrote it to call it Yesterday. It was about the most famous Paul McCartney song. It's been recorded by about 2,500 people since 1965, played on American radio 6 million times. It's only the most recorded song of all time, one of the most played as well. Not bad. Featured in the Beatles' second film, Help. You might remember the plot of the film was that Ringo was sent a ring by a fan to get stuck on his finger. Trouble is for Ringo, caught wearing the ring, it's likely to be sacrificed into any Kaili, some sort of religious sect or whatever. And of course the Beatles are very keen to find out more about the ring, so they come here to the restaurant hoping to find someone here, tell them something about it. When you arrive at the restaurants though, there's a couple of guys outside dressed as Indians. They're actually from London. Ringo says they're from the West. This guy answers, no, I'm not, from the East, Stepney. But Stepney's in East London if you didn't know. It's kind of an in-joke for Londoners. Anyway, the Beatles go into the restaurant and have a meal. But the followers of the dreaded Kaidi catch up with them and knock out all the staff of the restaurant and take their place. More attempts are made on poor Ringo's life. And finds some strange things in their soup, like a pair of glasses. Till about 2 years ago, this building was the headquarters of EMI Records. It was the record company the Beatles recorded for in the 1960s. But EMI just moved out of here to much larger offices in the Hammersmith area. They can certainly afford it on the profits of Beatles records alone. In fact, the Beatles were the top-selling group in the world in 1996. Yes, last year. The Beatles sold over 20 million LPs last year alone. Which is more than Oasis, Michael Jackson, Madonna and R.E.M. put together. Not bad going, huh? In fact, the Beatles sold more records last year any time during their career. It's kind of strange, because a certain Beatles anthology is the main reason for that. And of course, the Beatles came here to EMI on many occasions in the 1960s. Because their recording studios are elsewhere, just came here for business reasons. We also had two very important pictures taken here, on a balcony just above the main entrance. You can't see the balcony properly from the outside, actually taken inside the building. These two pictures are used on two Beatles LP covers, known as the Red and the Blue, Beatles' greatest hits. Here are the two pictures nicely superimposed on each other, this promotional leaflet. The first picture was taken for the Please Please Me LP in 1963, because the Beatles' first album. It was taken by a raw photographer called Angus McBean. But about 6 years later, they're recording what was going to be called the Get Back LP at Apple Studios in Savile Row. One of the ideas behind Gets Back didn't record the LP, they used to in the early days, but before they put all the overdubs and sound effects on records. That's what I wanted to do, Get Back, they used to in the days of Please Please Me. It's John Lennon's idea to come back to the very same balcony, to have the picture taken, thank you, for Get Back, the Please Please Me picture was taken of. This is the picture that resulted, taken in exactly the same place, even by the same photographer, Angus McBean. We'll just compare the two pictures. Remember, the first was made about the length of the Beatles' hair in 1963. People said it was much too long. Boys were regularly sent home from school to get their haircuts growing at Beatle length. Look how it looked by 1969. Our fashion's changed in just 6 short years. Of course, the Beatles and their contemporaries were a good reason for that change in fashion. Well, this story about Gets Back might be confusing some people, because in the end it wasn't an LP with that title. What happened was, when they finished the LP and the film that went with it, the tapes that were left on the shelf for several months gathering dust. The Beatles themselves went back to Abbey Road studios. Maybe they meant us. Yeah. Maybe they're part of that section San Diego. In a couple of years they have moved on. This almost wasn't going to be the cover of the record at all. In fact, it was going to be called Abbey Road. The original title was actually going to be Everest, and mainly after the favourite brand of cigarettes smoked by Jeff Emmerich, the Beatles recording engineer. But someone had the bright idea the Beatles should go to Mount Everest to shoot the LP cover. They won't tell you exactly what John Lennon said to that idea. It was rather rude. Because they didn't go to Mount Everest, we changed the title to Abbey Road, shot the picture on the crossing, actually outside the studio it's recorded in. So you're a lot newer and a lot warmer than going to Mount Everest. Luckily George Martin had a sense of humour. The Beatles passed their audition, because went on to make history here at Abbey Road, because George Martin's producing. Give people a clean wall to write on, but the last time the painting was less than 2 months ago, you got some idea number of people that come back to Abbey Road. It's certainly one of the most popular tourist attractions in the whole of London. Well, the Beatles returned to Abbey Road on September the 4th, 1962, to record their first single, Love Me Do. Here's some photographs taken in the studio that very day by photographer Gisela Hoffman. Jelly's made pictures of the Beatles here at Abbey Road Studios. But actually, when Diesel brought out this very cool book of photographs, the photographs are very good, his memory dimmed somewhat. He said he took these pictures on the June 6th audition. That's impossible, anyone know why. Through the bucks in, so I think it's taken in 1962. Very good reason, Ringo stars in the picture. Ringo didn't contribute until August 62. We should talk about the best of the June 6th audition. Certainly, Emily Bob, President George Harrison here, he knows he's never black eye. Called Abbey Road. It's all about history of studios. Because the Beatles are on the Amazing Red Street too. lots of Beatles things in here. I got a really nice photo of Paul, George and Ringo here, taking in part.
Picture of Barbara in front of Abbey Road Studios. Hi Barbara, isn't this so exciting? Okay.
Comme ça, c'est moi ce que je trouve, c'est pas en français, c'est surtout c'est la culture américaine. C'est des États-Unis. Ah bon. I knew it was going to be.
The last bit on the right, the arch, well, that's Australia House.